This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, I'm Meteo Mundo Chief Meteorologist Rusty McCraney, and this is your Tropics update for Friday, August 25th, 2023. Tropics are still very active, friends. A couple of areas that we'll be really monitoring very closely over the weekend and early next week, including an area that will have potential development and more than likely will develop as it emerges into the Northwest Caribbean and the southern Gulf of Mexico. Much more on that coming up. We have two more areas of interest here in the central sides of the Atlantic, but the good news is, even if those develop, there'll be open water storms, call those fish storms, no threat to any land. That's great news. And then in the middle, we still have Tropical Storm Franklin. So Franklin's what I want to talk about first. Right now, Franklin has winds of just 50 miles an hour. It's been knocked down a little bit, but as it moves north, it is going to rapidly strengthen. The National Hurricane Center has Franklin becoming a hurricane over the weekend, and then really close to major hurricane status late Monday and into Tuesday as it passes west of the island of Bermuda. Bermuda is located right there. And as it passes west, the Hurricane Center has it of winds of 110 miles an hour. The good news for Bermuda is that the models, and those are the spaghetti model plots that you see here on this map, they've nudged Franklin slightly farther west over the last 24 hours away from Bermuda. That is great news. Right now, that cone of uncertainty isn't even over Bermuda, so more than likely Bermuda will see some tropical storm conditions Monday and into Tuesday as Franklin passes off to the west, but the hurricane condition should stay well west of Bermuda. And again, forecasts to be just shy of a major Category 3 hurricane. I want to talk about what's happening with this area of interest. And again, this is a disorganized, broad area of low pressure currently, but it could be wrapping up fairly quickly as that moisture moves into the Northwest Caribbean over the weekend and eventually into the southern Gulf of Mexico. And the Hurricane Center has upped this area, this disturbance, to a 70% chance of development over the next 7 days, and more than likely we'll get at least a tropical depression to develop in the southern Gulf of Mexico. Again, late weekend, early into next week, and we'll really be having some high interest for the eastern side of the Gulf of Mexico, including the western coastline of Florida, the Florida Keys, the Dry Tortugas, and even up towards, let's say, Alabama's and Mississippi shoreline as well. So I can't tell you, the models couldn't be more divergent on what's going to be happening with this system. So going to show you this. I've got my computer just off screen for you now. This is the GFS model. I'm going to put this into motion. The GFS model is one of the most conservative models when it comes to what's going to be happening with the moisture. You can see it's developing some rain over the weekend, but nothing really begins to develop or spin up with the GFS model. As a matter of fact, even as we get into the weekend, it's going to keep this as an open wave. It's going to basically have no development whatsoever. I can also show you the NAM model right now, and the NAM model is going to be a little bit more aggressive, if nothing else, in bringing more moisture into the southern sides of Florida. So same model time frame. This is the NAM, and you can just see how much more aggressive it is with that moisture across the Yucatan, western Cuba, and then beginning to drive it even towards the Dry Tortugas and the Keys late in the weekend. So that one is going to have more moisture, if nothing else. And then I want to show you the European model. The European model by far is the most aggressive model, with actually spinning up a well-developed area of low pressure, one that could easily be at least a tropical storm. Again, you can just take a look at that. This is the European model, which would drive a system of at least tropical storm strength into the Big Bend of Florida early next week. Kind of really rapidly strengthen it as well. It goes from basically nothing early on Monday to, again, potentially tropical storm strength as we get into late Tuesday and Wednesday as it heads towards the Big Bend. So obviously, there is no consensus with the models. They're all over the place for us right now. But again, the area of interest that we'll really have to closely be monitoring is going to be the one that's going to be moving again away from the Northwest Caribbean and into the southern Gulf of Mexico as we get into early next week. And again, the European model, show it one more time, is the most aggressive model for the west coast of Florida. That's the latest on the tropics. We'll keep you very up to date. Have a great weekend, friends. And all you have to do for the latest information, like and subscribe right here to Meteo Mundo.